my theory on addiction. Before I get into today's video, please do subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're notified when I come up with more videos. And thank you to everyone who's been participating. It's been awesome to have you watch. And thanks to all the new people, too, that have been coming on board. So my theory on addiction, I think is a little bit different than most people. But first and foremost, I'll say, I think everyone's addicted to something. The only variables are what you use and how frequently you use it. And this even comes down to the food and water. Everyone needs food and water to survive, so we can all have like an inkling of what it's like to need something, because we all need food and water. And you take away food and water from people, like during the Holocaust or other genocide events, you see people act like raving lunatics. So the same thing that happens to people who are addicted to drugs. Now, that's not to say it's completely similar, but just to give people an idea of that, hey, we all have the capability of becoming like this. But yeah, we all are addicted to something. We all escape in some form or another. And a lot of people go to AA and NA, a 12-step fellowship, for the diseased model. And I think basically the disease of addiction is really just a variety of the 10 personality disorders and anxiety, depression, and bipolar disorder. The 10 personality disorders are cluster A. There's paranoid, schizoid, and schizotypal. Then there's cluster B, which is histrionic, antisocial, narcissistic, and borderline. And then there's cluster C. There's the avoidant, OCD, and dependent personality disorders. I think the disease of addiction is just a myriad of those 10 things. Perhaps people have one or more, and then people who are self-medicating anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, other kinds of mood disorders like that. And that's basically the kinds of people that go to AA and NA. They have all those disorders, and it's basically treated, because this 12-step model is a belief in a higher power, prayer, and cognitive behavioral therapy. And hey, if people work those programs, it does seem to have positive results for them. Now, there's other kinds of negatives about the fellowships that I won't get into here, but that's my theory on what the disease of addiction actually is. A myriad of personality disorders of the 10. And then people who are also self-medicating anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, and other self-esteem issues. And that's it. And to keep it simple, that's what goes on there. And it does seem to help a lot of people. Now, for me, dis-ease, when you pronounce it like that, dis-ease, not comfortable, that's an apt description of what addiction really is. It's people who are not comfortable who they really are. They're not owning who they are, and they have a lot of dis-ease in living life. Now, as far as the addiction debate is concerned, I don't really care. I don't care whether it's a disease, not a disease. All that really matters to me is what people are going to do about their problem. And it really only matters for insurance purposes what they call it anyway. So that's the disease of addiction, or the disease of alcoholism. Same thing, in my opinion. That's what's going on here. People have a lot of different personality disorders, perhaps stemming from abuse and trauma earlier in life. Perhaps they have mental illness in the family in the form of anxiety, depression, or bipolar disorder. And they go to the 12-step fellowship and they begin to develop some self-awareness. They get out of their total self-centeredness, which they say the disease of addiction is, a disease of total self-centeredness. And they learn how to think outside of themselves. They learn how to see things from someone else's point of view, to kind of release a little bit of the self-centeredness by getting outside of themselves and helping someone else. That's one of the best ways they do it. And guess what? It does work. It does work for a lot of the people that go there. There's more and more people, I think, that don't go, and they don't go for their own variety of reasons. And a lot of those kinds of people see positive results too. Because just like the AA and NA people often think that their way is the best way, so do too a lot of these kinds of religions that are out there, or other cults for that matter. And I think there's a lot of truth in all the different religions, and in AA and NA. There's a little truth in all of them, But where every single one of them loses me is when they all say their way is the best way and the only way. And to me, I just think it's arrogant to think that. It's like, how could they know for sure that's exactly what's going on? And they can't possibly know for sure, although they'll claim to. Like, I don't care what works for people. I don't care if it's religion. I don't care if it's 12-step programs. I don't care if it's Scientology or CrossFit or veganism or jiu-jitsu. Like, they're all forms of ideologies that they have positive effects. And to say, though, any one of those things is the only right way, I think that is ridiculous. I'm a big fan of whatever works for people. And I think the CBT plus the spirituality of a 12-step fellowship helps the people that have the disease of addiction, or whatever you want to call it. People with problems with alcohol or drugs or substance use disorder, I think is the proper term now. But they've all seemed to have good effects. But that's my video today. Let me know what you think about this video. Do you agree with my assessment that the disease of addiction is really just a compilation of the 10 personality disorders, the cluster A's, the paranoid, schizoid, and schizotypal, the cluster B, histrionic, antisocial, borderline, and narcissistic, and then the cluster C, which is the OCD, avoidant, and then dependent personality disorders, and a combination of mood disorders, which are anxiety, depression, and bipolar disorder. Do you agree that that's really kind of what's going on here? Have you thought of it that way before? Let me know in the comments below, and yeah, I'd be very curious to see your guys' thoughts. And with that, have a good one.